Grace, in the southeastern part of Nigeria, is largely known for her ability to multiply wealth in business and also pass on the chain of wealth growth to the upcoming generations. This is an art that is described as apprenticeship. When one serves under another for a fixed period of time, he is then sent forth to set up his own business in the same line of trade or maybe another. Over time, the Igbo apprenticeship model is being credited as one of the key factors that created so much wealth in southeast Nigeria. One then may wonder why it's seemingly being phased out. With the rise of technological advancement, social media, and the get-rich-quick mentality in young people, the need for a modification of this working model becomes imperative. This gave need for the chairman of the Pro-Value Humanity Foundation, High Chief Obiora Okonkwo PhD, to sponsor a research on the program, invigorating Igbo entrepreneurial behavior through enhanced apprenticeship scheme in Onitsha Markets, Anambra State, organized by Nnamdi Azikiwe University Business School.
Ceremonies of Unizik Business School, the research on invigorating Igbo entrepreneurial behavior through enhanced apprenticeship scheme in Onitsha Markets, sponsored by Pro-Value Humanity Foundation. It is common knowledge that the Igbo ethnic stock have over the years been pacesetters in commercial and other entrepreneurial activities. The story of Igbo successes and accomplishments in these fields resonates across the globe, that even in the remotest unthinkable places, you find Igbo men and women and their families doing their thing, carrying out their legitimate businesses, both at home, nationally, and in diaspora. This exceptional Igbo entrepreneurship has come under the searchlight, and in the radar, the questions are being raised.
Of Igbo boy and entrepreneurship. Igbo boy or Igbo Odibo. Incidentally, my name is Odibo. Yeah, the issue of Igbo Odibo, or the entrepreneurship acumen of the Igbo man, has been long with the Igbo man. Let us not go far before the war, but let us post-war, after the war, for those of us who saw the war, after the war, the Igbo man only received 20 pounds from Nigeria, 20 pounds. Whatever amount you had in your account before the war, you were given only 20 pounds. And that did not deter the Igbo man.
High Chief Obiora Okonkwo, a governorship aspirant for Anambra State 2021 election on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, speaking at the opening ceremony of the research, said that the research will generally look at the Igbo entrepreneurial spirit that made them strong. He said Onitsha main market occupied a special place in his mind because it gave him the trading experience and had helped his business instincts, and also instilled in him a deep sense of industry and hard work that had defined his life's journey to date.
Pro-Value Humanity Foundation, a charity which I founded to be primarily concerned with the propagating humanity through authentic human-centered development and reorientation of values. This is also out of my strong conviction that there must have to be not only financial capital to be successful in business, but there must also be intellectual capital. And until there is a connect between the intellectual capital and the financial capital, that history and that regret that have been enumerated by the VC represented and the prof, the director of the business school, about great enterprises we've had in the past that could not survive their second generation for reasons that were obvious. But with this research, we find out what those problems are. But without letting the cat out, I want to believe that that solution is what we can get from establishing a business school like Unizik. Our theories can only practicalize by getting connected with what's going on in our business life around this area. The research project is expected to, among other things, critically integrate Igbo entrepreneurship, culture, and apprenticeship system, around which it is historically built, with a view to reinventing both in the light of emerging realities. In 2020 as we are, the realities are that the apprenticeship in the past may have changed in its own dynamics. Most of the apprentices before were those who probably didn't go to school, those who finished primary 6 and could not continue to secondary school. But today, there is hardly any family you don't have somebody who has gone to primary school. And probably 50% of the modern families have people who go to secondary school. That might be one of the reasons why they feel they find themselves too big to do that kind of old apprenticeship. But with this study, we should be able to know how to build a bridge. The apprenticeship today might not just be under the shade, under the sun. It might be transfer of skill. It might be some technology, some know-how. It's just knowing, being good in what you are doing. There must be some tutelage, there must be some mentorship, so that with this, we'll be able to take a whole lot of youth out of the street and create jobs. Because those days we have this system of apprenticeship. There was no poverty, because there is a hope for a child of the poorest of the poor. If you have the right values, that is, Ibulonye Zioku, a big man will pick you up from the home of your mother, who may be a widow, or your father, who may be a wine tapper, and if you are obedient to him, he might hand you over his own business and make sure he sets you up. That's how some of us today, the big names we have heard about, started off their life. But do we still have that culture of obedience? Do we still have that culture of value? That is why in ProValue, we want those values and culture recreated. Not only their life, but it becomes a new beginning for our hope of survival in this great city of Onitsha. Onitsha, we must not allow to die. The infrastructures are wasted, and the pathetic thing is that a whole lot of our people have deserted Onitsha, both in residence and in business. Businesses that are in Lagos, in Kano, Abuja, good number of them started in Onitsha. The great men we have, they were here. Today we're still talking about industrialization. We're still talking about employment. We had great men of Igbo descent living in Onitsha with 5 industries. You know them. You know the GMOs, you know the Wangos, you know the Alliance. They had factories spread all over the places. They started there, they lived there, and they offered employment. The question is, where did we get it wrong? These are part of the things we will expect these research to provide an answer and help us set a ground for a new beginning, for greater Onitsha, greater Anambra, and greater Ivories. So on this note, go ye out there, do a good research for benefit of each and every one of us. Anambra says. Thank you very much.
The director, Unizik Business School, Professor Austin Nonyalo, While expressing gratitude to Obiora Okonkwo said, building sustainable businesses that will last beyond their founders should be a concern to all.
Embedded in the genetic composition of the Igbo or in their stars? What nurtured the tree of Igbo entrepreneurship? Was it the Civil War and the resultant denials, dislocations and disruptions of livelihoods that gave impetus to a resurgence and blossoming of Igbo entrepreneurial spirit and apprenticeship culture? How did the Igbo apprenticeship scheme, which has posted phenomenal success in the past, how did it come into being? What are the likely threats to the apprenticeship scheme, and are there problems affecting transgenerational entrepreneurship among the Igbo? In trying to provide answers to these aforestated questions and more, came the need for a robust empirical research. The research we are about embarking on seeks to interrogate all of these and accompanying objectives. However, we must state, and I hereby state, that this research couldn't have been a reality if you had not received the boost from the Pro Value Humanity Foundation. Indeed, it was during the international conference in July 2019 where the chairman of the Pro Value Humanity Foundation, Dr. Obiora Okonkwo Dikoridemili, was one of the speakers and award recipients that he broached the idea of a well-grounded research on Igbo apprenticeship and entrepreneurship. He also there and then made a commitment to sponsor the research by Unizik Business School. Dikoro Idemmili Mboba, we appreciate you.
And I'm proud to be an Igbo woman. No matter how many times you have fallen, we must rise again. And therefore, this research is a way of reinvigorating. Incidentally, I was there at the 2019 first Unizik Business School award ceremonies, where the founder of Pro Value spoke. And I borrowed some leaf from what he said. Incidentally, my inaugural lecture is on, failure of family businesses. The search for answers. We believe from what he has told us that after the research, we are going to come up with a rich, very rich resource on how to bounce back. It's not true that it is the poor that must be at Onitsha market. No. If one is educated, the value of education injected into business makes a lot of difference. And if we convince our children that becoming traders at Onitsha, because the way is like they are looking down, because it's this widow's son, it is that carpenter's son. No. I think there's going to be an reorientation where even the rich and mighty will have their sons in Onitsha market. So I want to, it's not a vote of thanks, I just want to express our gratitude for your magnanimity in funding this research. And we promise you that at the end, you will never regret that you did.
Apprenticeship is by far the most entrenched and vibrant entrepreneurship promotion vehicle that can help us to grow the small and medium enterprises in this nation. It offers great advantages. It enhances the youth to develop marketable skills that will make them employable. When we're talking about employment generation, wealth creation, and development of the nation, apprenticeship is the way to go now.
Fine, if I don't know, I want to die. I want to die. And if I may come careful, boy, if a boy, you don't know again, man, and you boy, the name were on man, but you humanity. Now, man, a guy, no Ghana. Even in the ages, and I was the boy. I will talk to a man, who's a guy, come my own guys, so now,
I told them that you would have not achieved everything that you need to achieve if you don't have a deeper nexus with the market itself. So I am glad that today the market people did not go to Unizik to study, but Unizik has come to Onitsha. And I think that is the beginning of what we need to change for the narrative to practicalize what we preach. So it is obvious that this will give us the intellectual knowledge to support the ingenuity we've had in our businesses. So the benefit will be enormous. It will not only understand how it has worked, it will study the situation now and even try to give a future projection of what we need to do to avoid the mistakes we have made in the past, especially those mistakes that has made it impossible for us to have those great companies that were started in Onitsha, that multiplied to many manufacturing places, that gave great jobs. And I mean, growing up as a child, I would hear Poco Bros, Poco Bros, Poco Bros, Poco Bros. You know, they were doing everything that was needed to be done in a modern business. We know about the GMOs, we know about Kennedy, we know about Wanko, we know about the Alliance. There were not less than 30 manufacturing plant industries in our apprenticeship. What apprenticeship we must stop seeing from the point of view of that Iba boy mentality. Iba boy is where in our Iba boy is because you have no other alternative, no other, you have no money to go to school, you have nobody to start your own business. Apprenticeship could be even in politics. It could be even in mechanics. It could be in skill acquisition. But what I can just simply put it is that it's a call for you to be tutored, for you to be mentored, for you to be taught properly whatever you are doing, to know how to do it the best way it's done. That's the apprenticeship. And when that is done and is back to our system, most of these are young boys who are parading the street, just doing nothing but tramadol and cultism and crime. We know that there is really no stigma in it, that whatever you want to be, you must subject yourself. Even going to school, is there just form of going to learn to, you know, study to be medical doctor? You can study all those things, and you can still be a graduate. You can still be a college graduate too, and go to have a tutelage to become somebody. Today, they call it in a modern way, skill acquisition, skill training.
Yeah, I think it is something that is that must be encouraged, because it is through that agency that if you yourself as an individual originally is not favorably disposed to get things done by yourself, it creates an opportunity or platform for you to lean on, hang on something, and then be able to grow. So for me, because of the fact that it has this element of growth in it, I would actually encourage the young people to pay attention to it. Because the issue here is learn the art, then you become a master. It is by the grace of God that we have him. It is by the unique grace of God that we have someone like him in our midst. One thing I can say is that he has a lot of interest in human capital development. DICORA, you see, does not, instead of building houses like this for maybe a community, he will take 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 individuals, get them trained from primary to secondary to university to whatever level of education that he might need. His own interest has always been around development of a human being, human capital development. And if you look at what is happening today, you will just find out that it is the same essence. Millions of naira has been invested into understanding why the business in Onitsha is not growing the way it ought to grow. This one, that money, if you use it to build a house, you can see a physical building that has been erected somewhere, but it has now been invested into research. Some of our university students will have the opportunity to have this bursary or the scholarship to go into the investigation, to go into the field, investigate that, and then come back. So for me, I think Dr. Obiora Okonkwo is someone who has a clear understanding around how development of any society has to be conducted, and I think is an individual that we actually can entrust with responsibility to specifically develop humanity and mankind in our area.
The Unizik Business School, it will be recalled, had honored Obiora Okonkwo PhD in June 2019 with the award of Philanthropic Man of the Year for his outstanding achievements in society. High Chief Obiora Okonkwo, Dikori Demmili, hails from Ogidi in a Demmili North local government area of Anambra State.